and this is Witnessing Walworth. And today we're at Safari Lake Geneva. So this is such a unique concept, the drive-through safari. How did it come about?
Well, it was something I'd been thinking about for a long time, since I was a child, in fact, so this really is the realization of a childhood dream. But I had long been obsessed with this idea of turning the whole zoo concept right on its head, and rather than restricting animals into fairly small exhibits and giving people the run of the facility, what if you just let the animals take over and then confine people to a cage of sorts, specifically their car. But because we're allowing people to feed the animals, they'll still see them much closer than they would at a traditional zoo, which is kind of ironic.
And conservation is a big aspect here, both the animals here and in the wild.
That is true. By patronizing Safari Lake Geneva, you're helping us help save animals in the wild, including giraffes and cheetahs in Africa, and greater adjutant storks in Asia, as well as eastern Massasauga rattlesnakes right here in the Great Lakes area, as well as some amphibians in the Caribbean, among other projects.
One of the primary goals of Safari Lake Geneva is to raise awareness of the problems that these animals face and their importance from an ecological standpoint. Safari Lake Geneva is partnered with many wildlife conservation groups, including Monterey Bay Aquarium Seafood Watch, Frog Watch USA, and the Giraffe Conservation Foundation. You can find out more about these conservation groups on their website at safarilakegeneva.com. By visiting Safari Lake Geneva, you learn about animals and their habitat and get a deeper understanding of the importance of conservation and wildlife protection. So talking more about the animals, how many did you start with? How many do you have now?
We had about 60 animals on the day that we opened, and a lot of those we'd actually borrowed from friends around the region. But now we have almost 200 animals.
And obviously a lot of them are pretty big, so how do you get them here?
By and large, they're coming here in livestock trailers of some description, a notable exception being our giraffes, which are brought here in custom-built trailers specifically made to transport giraffes.
And obviously Wisconsin winters can be pretty brutal. How do you take care of them?
Well, by and large, it's a pretty hardy bunch we selected here. So with very few exceptions, we find that these animals adapt quite well to our Wisconsin winters and are outside for many hours a day every winter. And that includes even animals from Africa or tropical Asia, things like zebras and antelope. But of course, they could never really survive one of our winters if they didn't have any shelter, so they can go into heated shelters whenever they want to.
And if you can talk about your future plans, future animals that you want to bring in.
Well, we assume we'll probably continue to specialize in hoofed animals, so that might mean a few additional species of antelope down the road. We do anticipate having more birds in the future, but it's too soon to specify exactly what kind.
Here at Safari Lake Geneva, you can see dozens of unique animals. Safari Lake Geneva is home to alpacas, camels, emus, ducks, llamas, donkeys, miniature horses and mules, ostriches, capybaras, squirrel monkeys, water buffalo, yaks, giraffes, zebras, and bison. They also have many types of antelope roaming the grounds. And talking specifically about the tour, how many people are you seeing every season?
We see about 85,000 people every year, and we do monitor or restrict the number of people who come every day, even every hour. So it's roughly 36 cars per hour every day from May 1st to October 31st that we have come through.
And how long is the tour from start to finish?
It really varies. We find that if people, the average person probably is out there about 45 minutes or a little bit longer, assuming they're stopping to feed the animals. And of course, people can go through as many times as they like. So the majority of people do loop through at least one additional time.
And any major rules that people need to keep in mind when going through? Speed limit, feeding the animals?
Good questions. The speed limit is 2 miles per hour, and we do ask that people not feed our giraffes or zebras or camels. They're all in one section though, and we call that out on in multiple signs, so most people are happy to do that. Although if I didn't mention it already, we actually do have an opportunity for people to feed the giraffes not from their cars but from a standing position, and all the proceeds from that encounter go to support the conservation of wild giraffes in Africa.
For students that are interested in coming, any special events?
No, but there are special encounters over and above that giraffe experience, and the one I'm thinking of is called our capybara encounter, and we've got more information about that on our website, but it's a great opportunity to come up close and personal with the world's largest rodent, the South American capybara, and you can feed them and take all the selfies you care to.
And also for students, I know we were talking about internships on our ride, if you wanted to talk about that.
We sure do have internships. We've hosted students from as far away as Canada, and many of them are now practicing in the wildlife conservation field today. We've got some practicing veterinarians now who are in our alumni bunch. And typically you can find information about interning at Safari Lake Geneva on our website under the Employment tab.
And there's a lot of animals here. How do you take care of them? Is there a single veterinarian on staff?
There is not. We actually rely on 2 vet hospitals, you might say. One in Elkhorn, it's called Elkhorn Veterinary Hospital, as well as the University of Wisconsin at the Madison campus, which of course has one of the world's best veterinary colleges. So we're lucky to have vets as close as Elkhorn, just up the road, as well as a major center for veterinary medicine less than an hour and a half drive away in Madison.
And about how many animals do you see along the tour?
You're likely to see over 100, and those represent well over 24 different species or breeds. We've got every continent except Antarctica represented. This is an eland, which is the largest species of antelope in the world, actually, from eastern and southern Africa. In the section where the camels and the giraffes and the zebras live, we do not. Allow people to put their windows down, but in every other section we do. And that's because a lot of the animals are conditioned to coming over here and eating. But we do have rangers employed throughout the park who do help kind of manage that human-wildlife interface, and I can answer any questions you might have as well.
So obviously you can get land in a lot of different places. Why specifically Lake Geneva?
Well, we were very interested in serving the Chicago market because it was by far the largest market in the U.S. that didn't have a park like this in relatively close to it. And of course, people have been coming to Lake Geneva for generations, so we knew that there'd be the pull of everything that makes Lake Geneva so great. So, interestingly, now we're so well known that we often find we've got people coming here, obviously, because they were planning to come to Lake Geneva, but maybe hadn't heard of us before, but also a significant proportion of people who had never been to Lake Geneva before, but came specifically to see us and are discovering the Lake Geneva area in the process.
Tickets can be purchased online. Infants get in free, children 3 to 15 cost $16.95, and adults 16 and over are $23.95. If you are interested in a more close-up experience, the capybara encounter is $99.99. Thank you for watching. This has been Witnessing Walworth.